So for the next section here, I'm going to show you how to use a separate coordinate frame for the hexnut object, and we will manipulate the hexnut object to do some interesting effect. So the first step is for me to declare another mat4 object. So I'm going to declare glm mat4, and let me call it hex1 cf. Okay. And in my rendering function, well, of course, I want to initialize my hexnut coordinate frame. Let's say I'm going to use that to replace my second block of GL push pop for my second render of my hexnut. Okay, so that means I have to set up the coordinate frame to first apply rotation around the y-axis by 30 degrees. Okay, so how do I do that? So I'm going to move that. I'm going to replace that. Use this. Use this. I don't know how to type today. Use this to initialize hex1 cf. Okay, so that is a rotation by 30 degrees around the y-axis, right? And I'm going to do that initialization inside my model, inside my make model. So I'm going to say hex1 cf is equal to glm. So the initial operation is a rotation, right? I want to rotate, and there are several functions of glm rotate, and the easiest one to use will be the third one. So I know the angle, the amount of rotation, and I know the axis. So vec3 is a 3x1 vector. So in order to use the same number, I will say the rotation angle is 30 degrees, and the axis of rotation is the y-axis. So how do I say y-axis? So y-axis is a vec3 object, and I want to initialize that object to 0, 1, 0, because y is the second component, right? So I'm going to say glm vector 3, and I'm going to initialize that to 0, 1, 0. So I put my comment here, rotate 30 degrees around y. Okay, question? Now what is the error? So the error is because the first argument to rotate has to be a floating point number. Okay, and I need to type f, because otherwise C++ will interpret my number as double, but the expected argument is a float. I saw hands before. Yes, Luis?
The last digit of your vector is a 1.
Oops, thank you. Yep, you're awake. Another hand on the other side. Okay. So I initialize my coordinate frame for my hexnut. So then I can now replace that part, the rotation, with a GL mult matrix call. So there are two versions of mult matrix, either for a single floating point, when you see the F, that is for a single floating point, and the second is for double. Okay, my matrix, my 4x4 matrix is a single floating point, so I want to use mult matrix F, and in order to convert my object to be a right format for OpenGL, I do have to use the value pointer function. Okay, so value pointer, and one of the arguments that I can pass here is a 4x4 matrix, so you can see from the list. So now I can use a value pointer, and inside the parentheses, I will just type in the name of my hex coordinate frame. Okay, question? Josh, did I answer your question? Okay. Unfortunately, I cannot include the translate minus SS into the initial setup because I use the number S here from the, well, actually I can because I know the object has been built and I know the radius, so I can just if I want to move that over, I can do that too. Okay, so if I want to include the other transformation into my initial coordinate frame, I can move it here. Okay, but I just keep it there for now. Okay, so you know how to do that. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to show you how to add some object manipulation. Let's say I want to spin that hex nut around its own z-axis or y-axis or whatever. Okay, so how do I do that? So let's say I'm going to use the plus key. I'm going to use the plus key to spin the hex nut around its coordinate frame. So that means I have to update my key handler, and my key handler is here. And you see two different parts of the key handler at line 138. There's an if statement. This is when you press the shift key. Okay. So now I'm going to use the plus key or the minus key, whatever. And let's say I'm going to use the minus key. And if I want to use the minus key, I just need to add another case, GLFW key minus. And what I'm going to do inside, remember my outline before? Well, we will manipulate the object coordinate frame inside one of the handlers, and I'm going to change my hex1 CF. So the effect that I want to see is to spin the object, the hex nut, around its own z-axis. Tell me, do I have to use pre-multiplication or post-multiplication? Post. Good. So then I have to do a post-multiplication. That means now I need to do a post-multiplication by doing something like this. I want to multiply with a rotation matrix, right? I want to do a rotation around the z-axis, and then you will just say Glm Rotate, and you know how to use that function before. So I will just want to rotate. Let's say rotate by 1 degree, and I want to rotate around the z-axis. So I'm going to create a 0, 0, 1 vector because this rotation will be around the z-axis. So post multiplication, so rotate around z-axis of the hex nut. Okay, let's run. Let's see if we can make the hex nut to spin around the z-axis. What is the error? Oh, yep, thank you. Floating point, yep. So I just want to say 1.0f, compile. So let me resize the window so you can see it better. Ready? Which one was, do we spin the first or the second? I mean the front or the back? I don't remember. Ah, there we go. So it's spinning around the z-axis, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's say the second one, I do want to make like a drop animation. So the drop animation, and let's say I'm going to use one of the key, I don't know, give me input. What key do I want to use for dropping the hex nut? D. Okay. GLFW key D. And for dropping the hex nut along the y-axis of the world, do I have to use post or pre? Pre-multiplication. Okay. So then I'm going to pre-multiply. I'm going to pre-multiply with a translation matrix. Translate. Okay. So the translation will be along the, now I don't remember in which direction I render my cube. Okay, just try. I think I render my cube. I don't think it's Z, but let's try. Okay, And let's say I want to drop along the z of the world, by minus 0.4 or 4.5 units. Okay, but that will be along the z, so I have to type 0, 0 minus 0.5, and I have to do pre-multiplication. So the translate has to be done before. Okay, so this is a pre-multiplication. Let me change the comment. Pre-multiple, that will translate along z of the world. Let's run it. That's incorrect. Okay, apparently z is moving away. Okay, let's change that. I think I need to do it along the y-axis. So change that along the y-axis, and just need to move that over to y. And let's say at the same time I want to use uppercase D and lowercase d. How do I do that? Well, in order to handle the uppercase D, I want to do another code in my mod shift. Okay, so just copy that case and then move it here. And this is for uppercase D. And the other one is for lowercase d. And let's say I want to do the opposite. I just use a positive number, and if I run it again, and if I press D, yeah, it will not drop along the y-axis. And then uppercase D will go up, go down. And I can spin. Okay? So, have fun with the code. Any question?